Did you know that Michael Jackson was a reptilian? I didn't realize it until I was watching the Thriller video a while back. And towards the end, you can see him turn and laugh, and you can see his eyes, and you can tell he's a reptilian. I saw it myself, and it was on TV, so I know it's a fact. And when I see things on TV, I know that they're true, because the TV doesn't lie. Everything anybody tells me is true, merely because they told me it's true. But if I don't believe it's true, then what I believe alternatively is the truth instead. Because ultimately, everything that I think is true, and everything that I think is false is false. So, when I make an accusation, or I accuse someone or something of being true, it's a fact. It's a 100% proven fact, just because I'm saying it. And in case you didn't know that, I make most of the decisions for the world. I can tell you what's right and what's wrong, and if I tell you that down is up, then you better believe it. I just can't even do this. I wanted to make a funny video, but I'm not a funny dude when I'm trying to be serious and funny at the same time. Some of the shit that people say is just preposterous online. I remember a person telling me once that I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to tell you the truth. And this, not just one person, but I've probably heard that from a dozen people. Especially when I first got onto YouTube, and I really enjoyed the truther channels. And I really enjoyed that people did a lot of research, that we could all come together with our research and, wade through it and say, is this true, is this not true? And it took a few years for me to realize that people aren't really after the truth. And many of the people who have truth in their name, in their screen name, often are the people who seem to seek the least truth. In other words, they're so desperate to know the truth that they kind of miss it when it's right in front of their face. But if something conflicts with what they believe to be true from a previous time, they instantly lash out and attack. This one particular guy who made a video about me a while back, he was, claiming I'm a reptilian, and I was playing on his, playing him, teasing him, trolling him, I guess, talking about shedding my scales and whatnot. I thought it would be funny to subscribe to his channel, to see what he came up with in the future. And yesterday, I think it came up on my feed. I saw a video with a picture of me, and I was like, what's this? Oh, and it was another one, and more proof that Carpo719 is, a reptoid or whatever. And I thought, here's this guy who got upset because I called his nonsense a couple months ago. And he's been hanging on to this. He's been so concerned about who I am that he's actually been hanging on to this for a couple months. And I really thought about it, and I was like, I feel really sorry for people like that. The folks who, when they're questioned as to the legitimacy of their claims, or even teased, it feels like sometimes they just want to keep lashing out because they feel like they've been wronged, or because they're being teased. But what I've realized is a lot of folks really believe what they're saying. They have convinced themselves that what they say is true. And meanwhile, not looking at the bigger picture to say, how is this assisting my fellow man to, let's say, make a video about this one guy, me, who just has a few subscribers, makes videos about random stuff in life. I thought if people can be fooled by someone like me, who is obviously not a reptilian, maybe I am, I don't know. From the claim he said that apparently that I could be a reptilian and not even know it. So, if that's true, my bad. But in years past, I would always I'd really try to speak up for the truth. I'd really try to say, hey, this is what I believe to be true, and I thought it was important. I really thought it was important that people know the truth. And you get to a point where you realize that whatever truth you have is constantly fluctuating and varying according to new input. If it's not, then your truth is stagnant. In other words, if your truth is merely that the Bible is the fact, and that nothing else is needed, and that you spend, your first 50 years of your life believing that nothing matters except the Bible, and you take it verbatim and literal, then not much is going to change that. You know, many people are very, very stuck in that belief because you can't negate part of the book. You have to believe it all or none. And this is something I understand. People attach to this belief because it's what they've been raised to believe. But when people come up with their own conclusions or derive their own ideas, and then they're questioned on it, and they continue to, you know, postulate as if they have facts, I don't know. Is it even worth talking to people like that? Is it even worth confronting? I've realized a lot of folks they really want to get a lot of views on their channel so they can, you know, try to show everybody the truth that makes them feel good inside. There's this one particular guy who, he made a video a couple of years ago where he was talking about the Boston bombing, and he showed a clip from Family Guy. There's an episode where Peter, I guess he's drunk and he drives through and he crashes through the bunch of marathon runners. And the person was claiming that Family Guy and 9/11 and 7/11, all these numbers and ideas were all predicting the Boston bombing, and that it was all planned and everything was destined to happen. So let's say whenever an event happens, people will say, oh, this was staged and planned. But they're always going back in retrospect to try to analyze the information beforehand. It's kind of like the old prophecy conundrum. You know, everybody says, this was predicted, but very few people can say, hey, we're predicting this for next year, and this is what's going to happen. Every one of them who's ever done that, every one of these predictions about the end times, about comets, about anything like this being the end of the world, the end of people, the end of society, or an invasion or whatnot, none of this stuff has ever really gone anywhere. And throughout history, everyone's been predicting and prophesying all these things, and it's become a competition to see who's right, you know. And it's like I say, when somebody finally does predict the end times correctly, it's not going to matter because you're not going to have much time to brag about it, right? So what is the truth? And what really does matter? Does any of it matter? You know, the only truth that really matters is the truth within your heart, that you know how you can relate to your family and your friends, that you can live a happy, successful life, whatever you deem to be success. And don't worry about what other people think. Doesn't mean you can't defend yourself, doesn't mean that you can't say and call bullshit when you see it. But don't let it hurt your feelings. Realize that people really aren't out to harm you as an individual if they talk, you know, say bad things. They're really out to make themselves feel better. So if you know who you are and you're confident with who you are, let people pick on you if they want to. You know, you still have to stand up for what you believe and the truth you believe, but don't let people get you down with their silly antics. You know, there are a lot of guys out there who are nameless, faceless accounts who their whole goal in life is to troll. They just want to go out and get a rise out of people and get attention and say, look at me. And these become easier to identify, especially on YouTube after you've been, you know, on there for a few years. But a person who first jumps onto YouTube thinks, wow, man, these people are assholes or idiots. And you just have to realize that, you know, you got to wade through the comments and you've got to realize which videos, you know, have reasonable conversations within them. My wife, you know, she doesn't know how I deal. She's like, how do you deal with people being, you know, such assholes on there? Because I always read her the funny comments and show her the videos, my reptilian videos and whatnot. And I guess yesterday she made a comment on a political video on YouTube, something about, you know, Second Amendment or gun rights or whatnot. And somebody responded to her. They said, I'll show you my Second Amendment rights put up to your temple. Basically, yeah. I'll shoot you in the head to show you my Second Amendment rights. You know, and my wife's like, what the fuck? You know, what's wrong with people? I'm like, to me, I'm just used to people like that. It's just something that you know, people say brutal stuff. I mean, in fact, I've been confronted by people telling me that they basically revealed their entire life story to me in a projection type comment, like, you just want to rape little children and you're a molester and you probably did this and this and this to your kid, and meanwhile this conversation had nothing to do with kids or molesting or anything. But you can see that a person is opening themselves up and revealing. So I just wanted to say that when a person's accusing you of something really, really harsh or preposterous, realize that may have happened to that person. And they may be angry at the world. And God, there's a lot of a lot of harshness out there, and a lot of bad parents and a lot of bad people. So we can't let them represent the whole. Some people just want to be assholes. It's just the way it is. I'm just glad I'm not one.